I'm actually usually the one that's like, let's take this further, you know?
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
I don't know why you even bother, cause your head's underwater. It's underwater now.
Connor of Chase the Bear, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Let's just go into the most important questions straight away because we are only a month and a half away. Halloween's coming up, and I know that's important for you in the band, so do you have big plans already?
You know what? Every year we usually do a show in Vancouver. We try to do like a big thing with a bunch of bands, and I'm not usually the guy. Well, I booked it once and it was a complete nightmare. So I also helped book, like a choir that was singing The End by the Beatles with us, and it was just like this huge ridiculous thing. It was incredibly stressful. So now somebody else does that. So I really hope that we're doing something, this year for Halloween for sure. Because, yeah, it's always a fun time. Last year we dressed as Mario characters, which was really fun. And Troy's our singer. He wore like the cheapest Mario costume he could find was like this lady's spandex version, and it was just like revealing, like leaves nothing to the imagination. It was ridiculous.
Is that kind of the way that you guys lay out a little bit the work, that people take on some of the extracurricular stuff? Because you seem to be the resident content creator for social platforms. Does that mean that other people take care of merch design and stuff like that? How does that work in the band?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm definitely the content guy. Leo, our guitarist, he is really into cars. He's a mechanic, so his whole job is keeping like the van really like top-notch shape. He takes it for repairs. He sometimes repairs stuff himself. Troy, our singer, he is always writing songs all the time. As well, he books a lot of our shows. Mm-hmm. Brady does like a lot of our tax stuff, a lot of that like boring, accounting kind of stuff. He saves our receipts. He does all of that stuff. Tax season, he's always doing that. He's also done a lot of our written interviews, which is really nice because we have now that we're signed to a label, we've gotten just like tons of those, like flooding in. And that's thanks to Strut Media as well, our publicist. So like, Brady's always on it. He's like, he sent me a message today being like, hey, just a reminder, you got this interview at 1 p.m. Don't forget.
There you go.
So
there you go.
That's nice. And then we have got a big band. There's 6 of us. And then Jordan, our other guitar player, he does our merch. And then Kevin, he actually owns his own video production company in Vancouver. So he does a lot of our video work. He does editing for like the, bigger video projects and stuff like that, which is awesome. And then, I do content. I also do a little bit of graphic design stuff, like if we need posters done. I help design our website, stuff like that. And now we've got the label, so then we've got like a real graphic designer helping us, and photographer and videographer, and we've got Danny, who's our producer, and we've got a marketing team, which is crazy, because that used to be my job as well, and so that's one less thing I have to do.
Given that everybody is so involved and has their role to play, has that been an adjustment as well, that all of a sudden this this very precious baby, all of a sudden there are a lot of parents in the room, and you have to let go of some things. You have to trust that people are professionals and know what they're talking about. So there's obviously benefits to that you don't have to worry about it. But was that easy for everyone in the band to kind of say, like, yeah, go ahead, do our thing?
I feel like it's definitely been an adjustment. You're right. It's like it's such a double-edged sword because, yeah, you get to take a break, but also it's like you lose that control.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what nobody talks about when you get signed to a label for your first time is you have all this control over your band and you get to do everything and you don't know what you're doing. And then so you lose some of that control, but you bring it to people who do know what they're doing, which is great, you know. And since it's our first release, there's, you know, growing pains and stuff, and sometimes things are a little off, and then we have to send an email being like, hey, can we get this done instead? That would be nice. We really would enjoy that. And,
please and thank you.
You know, yeah, just like we want to be like the easiest band to work with. We want to be like real professionals and stuff, but also it's also our band, and we want to make sure that, like, you know, things work the way that, you know, we like them to, and the band is represented well, which it is. You know, which is great. Everyone's doing a really good job.
On the day that we're recording this is also the day that the music video for the latest single Underwater came out. Your first label teaser, if you will, of the album that is going to be coming our way. You guys bring not just now, but you did so in the past with your previous singles. You guys bring colorful rock, but there is on this newer song a little bit more of a darkness on there. You know, we hear Nobody Knows Who Can Save Us. Maybe more than we saw in the past from you guys. Is it as simple as, well, the whole world just went through 2 years of craziness where everybody had to confront some demons, and that is now reflecting in the music? Is that going to be representative of more material that's going to come our way? How representative is a new song?
Well, those songs, funny enough, were written before the pandemic, you know, and when we recorded them 3 years ago. So that was like, you know, when the pandemic happened, it was really funny to see that, oh, this song actually talks exactly about what's going on right now.
It's more relevant now than when it was written,
Yeah, exactly. At the time, actually, our singer Troy and our bassist Brady they were writing it together in their kitchen on acoustic guitars. And so, you know, it didn't sound like this kind of like heavy blues rock song it did. And then, they were both writing it, and it turns out, like, they got halfway, and Brady said something like, man, this is a really cool song about climate change, because, you know, in BC, the whole province is burning down every summer. And Troy was like, wait a minute, I'm writing it about a serial killer. What, you're writing it about climate change? And so they were writing the same song about two different things the entire time.
But it ends with a heartache. It ends with a heartache.
Now, today, also more than 3 years ago, when we're kind of starting to ride this wave, especially in North America, of, let's call it, the return of upbeat, colorful rock. And there's a bunch of younger bands coming out. Here in Toronto, we've got Harmonies. In the States, you've got, in LA, I recently talked to the guys from Classless Act. You've got Tempt in New York. Like, all these younger bands that are bringing a sound that is, heavily inspired by multiple decades of mainstream rock, if you will. Right now, it seems as much as people are embracing darker lyrics and themes, people also just seem to be very much urging for a fun outlet and a bit of a party. So it might also just be a better climate today for this release than it would have been a couple of years ago.
True. Yeah, it's very true. And it's funny because like when we started doing this band, I mean, it was more like folk pop was popular. You
100%.
know, that whole like Mumford and Sons, Lumineers. I mean, those people are still selling out stadiums, and
Of course.
that genre is always going to be popular. But yeah, it was just, it's nice that like other people are starting to catch up, because we never kind of started doing our sound because we thought that it was going to be popular.
Right.
You know,
right,
it was like we've always just tried to do what we loved, and we love Zeppelin and we love Hendrix, but we also love Queens of the Stone Age and Arctic Monkeys, and you know, like Tame Impala, and just all of these, like the Strokes and Jet, and you know, mixing all of these influences and stuff. It's very cool to see that other bands are embracing the same thing. It's like, we're not crazy, okay?
Yeah.
We're
part of a scene.
Yeah, exactly. That's really cool.
Now, yeah, you mentioned a couple of bands already. Bands I would add to the list. I don't know if they were necessarily a direct influence, but sounds, let's say, that I pick up on when I listen to some of the material. I'm hearing, you know, the Fratellis as well from the early 2000s. I'm hearing maybe even a little bit of Monster Truck in there. But then for sure also the Stones and like Jane's Addiction, and a lot of early 90s hard rock influences. All these influences and these elements in your sound, is it from, you know, we've got 6 people and everybody has maybe a little bit of a different, you know, area that they like to listen to, and they're all bringing their uniqueness to the mix, or are the band members generally more aligned on what they like and what they would bring in?
Yeah, it's definitely the first one. Like, yeah, it's like, it's so funny. I've mentioned Zeppelin and Hendrix and the Beatles. It's like those were kind of the 3 that we all agreed on, and everything else is just like out the window.
Yeah.
Our singer and guitarist Troy and Leo, they're brothers, so they grew up listening to a lot of the same music. They're really into like the more blues stuff. Leo's really into the Stevie Ray Vaughan, the Jeff Beck, you know. Troy loves, just like, he's getting into a lot of soul music lately, a lot of Aretha Franklin, you know, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, going back to like the 40s, you know, like Little Richard, lots of stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I've been getting really into hip hop recently, so you know, I've just been incorporating like that style of drumming to a lot of the new stuff that isn't even on this album. You know, like yeah, our keyboard player is super into Tame Impala, into more like indie pop kind of stuff. Bassist is really into Queens of the Stone Age and Royal Blood, that like more heavier kind of alt rock stuff. Yeah, like and then I don't know what Jordan listens to.
I've been your fool for a while now. I've been your fool for a smile. It is with a heart.
When you talk about all those different influences and we hear those different sounds, and yeah, there is some there's the bass is rock music, but there is that, you know, there's the more bluesy moments. There's definitely funk in there. There's a bunch of stuff going on. People that are not as close to music theory maybe might not always appreciate the versatility that's required more from a drummer than from a guitar player. So what's that like for you? I think too. There you go.
Finally.
Just bonus points all around. But that does mean that for you to kind of bring that all together, sometimes within a song, it's not that you've got your funky song and you've got like the bluesy song, it's more like it kind of ebbs and flows in songs. That means that you have to be versatile enough to take on that as part of the rhythm section. Is that sometimes a challenge? Like, are there moments that, have there been ideas that you go like, you know what, this is just too different from what we've already got down and that would not work out for me?
No, absolutely not. I'm actually usually the one that's like, let's take this further. You know, like it doesn't matter if it like we'll do like a metal song or something. It'll just get like really heavy sometimes, and I was like, is this Chase the Bear? I was like, yes, it is. We did it. So it's Chase the Bear, you know, like
Yeah.
And with
So
the album,
does that mean that there's
out,
no lines in the sand?
I mean, there are some, like, you know, sometimes I'll just like rap to a song, and then obviously it's like, maybe this isn't going to come out on the album, but like, we can still record it, and that's the beauty of it. It's like, I think the whole idea with the band is that we write a lot, and so when we had this album that's coming out next year, we brought in, I don't know, like 50 different songs, and we showed them to Danny, who's our producer, and that's the beauty about having a producer like Danny. He's able to be like, okay, so if I were to do an album, these are the 12 songs out of the 50 that I would do, you know. And it was like, oh, awesome, cool, now we know. And then maybe there's a couple where we're like, really? You didn't like this one? This is our best song, you know? And there's a couple where we still do play those songs. And for, you know, album number 2, then we're going to bring them back and be like, hey, remember this one?
You know, we see more and more with, let's call it mainstream rock, that, or just in general mainstream music, and I don't mean mainstream as a negative word, but we're really in a song and maybe EP culture versus an album culture, where, you know, I usually talk to metal bands where it's still very much the other way around, but we see a lot of bands like, oh, we'll release 6 singles and then, you know, we'll put 3 more songs on an album and that's the album. And, you know, it's just like you're talking about, like, you know, starting with 50 songs and we end up with 12 songs on an album. In that process, is it a challenge to still have a spirit of the album? Like, should we expect the album being a collection of really cool songs, or is it going to tell us one story, and is it going to be an album first?
Absolutely, it's an album first. Like, we debated a lot on just the track listing, you know, just like the actual flow of it really mattered to us when we were picking all the songs. And I think it was, you know, it's important that, yeah, it's an album first, and we're going to be making vinyl for it, which is sweet, you know. Like, we it's literally being made right now because of how long the wait for vinyl in Canada is right now. It's like 6 to 8 months. So yeah, it's definitely like a front to back album. However, every song is kick-ass. I gotta say, every song, it's a good song, you know, like, except for one. But I'm not going to tell you which one.
Oh, give us more cowbell.
This will be a question to everybody watching this. Figure out which song Connor hates.
Which is the one stinker. We're gonna see. But I mean, a lot of times, I don't know. A lot of times that's the crowd's favorite. It's like, well, what do I know? I'm just a musician.
A little quieter now. A little quieter, a little quieter, a little quieter now.
Well, we've got the album coming out. It will eventually be here as we're recording. It's not been formally announced yet, so we won't go into that right now. But
I don't even know when it's coming out, to be honest. See,
you didn't get the memo? I'll tell you after the recording.
Yeah, exactly.
But regardless of the exact release date, you know, obviously more music is gonna come our way soon. Besides the release of the album, everybody watching this video right now, what should they keep their eyes open for? What can you share when it comes to other endeavors that you're working on?
Well, I mean, for anyone watching this right now, which you obviously are, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to my voice. Yeah, I mean, Chase the Bear, we're a kick-ass rock band. We're a great live band. Yeah, come check us out. Like, follow us. We've got a bunch of new songs coming out. If you liked Underwater, check out our next shit. It's gonna be, you'll like it too. Like, and we're a diverse rock band. We try to, like we talked about, we try to experiment, you know. And but the biggest thing is it's a fun live show. So, you know, if you liked Underwater, send us a message. Tell us to come to your town. You know, tell us to come to whatever venue is the cool venue, because we love playing rock shows. It's just like, it's our thing, and we can't wait to get back on the road. And end of speech. Thank you very much.
All right, well, Connor, we'll see you on that road in Canada, and you know, we'll see some announcements for the West Coast in the States as well. So we'll keep our eyes open for that. And then when that happens, we'll catch up at the show. Connor, thank you so much for your time. I had a lot of fun talking to you. I hope this was good for you. And we'll see you soon. And congratulations again on releasing your new single.
Thanks so much, Jasper.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.